But overall, like I said, I'm indifferent. I'm sure a lot of fans are indifferent. They'll buy kits anyway. And at the end of the day, Adidas is happy. Atlanta United is happy because both parties are making money. So it's really water under the bridge at the end of the day.
I agree. I'm looking forward to seeing this team play it. I'm not worried about what the details. I'm just looking forward to seeing Atlanta United play in 2019. Another big thing that dropped today, actually a few hours ago, MLS has done a fantastic job. It's essentially a mini documentary of Atlanta United's match winning MLS Cup.
Right.
Their match against the Portland Timbers, their 2-0 win in MLS Cup to win the league, win the playoffs, and it's honestly it's beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm at a loss for words. If you're a true Atlanta United fan, I think most of us will understand the teary-eyed effect that you get in watching that. It's the combination of the words that the players are saying, the shots of the crowd, the emotion evoked, and then the music.
It's one of the things I really look forward to every year after MLS Cup. Those little mini docs that the league makes for each team. One of the things that really stood out for me, Michael Parkhurst, talking about having been to 4 MLS Cups, losing all 4, and then the 5th time, just finally winning that. Just a sense of relief, the sense of joy he felt. I mean, really, those were words he was just saying, but you could feel that at the end of the day of the match, the days after the match, that their feeling really started to sink in for him. And I, for one, I'm happy that he finally got over the hump. I heard, I believe it was Becky McCarty or somebody, they had some audio during the pregame that's featured in the video, talking about how he went to MLS Cup.
Oh, and he never went back. Yeah,
never went back. So
yeah, that's what happens in pro sports all the time. You win one, you think you're going to go the next year.
Unless you're Tom Brady.
Yeah, unless you're Tom Brady, which that actually comes true. But then you get to a point in your career, or the team has a change of some kind of dramatic injury that changes the course of your season or seasons. And that seemingly not necessarily happened to Michael Parkhurst, but he seemed to be able to get there, but couldn't with his team. Not that it's his fault, but with his team, they couldn't, to steal a phrase from UJ fans, finish the drill. They couldn't see out the end of the season holding up the trophy, winning some hardware that was missing in Michael Parker's career. And I hope that it almost elevates him to almost a new level of play in 2019. Finally, I got that off my back, and I can play and have fun and not worry about doing that. Not that he wouldn't want to do it again, but it's a different mentality. It's a mindset of I can do it. I have done it. I will do it again.
And looking in hindsight, of course he's back for 2019, but looking in hindsight, I mean, who would have blamed him if he had retired at the end of last year? I mean, he had won MLS Cup, first time in 5 tries. He can go out on top, go out a champion. But, having him back, like you said, is really key because here's a veteran presence that's won MLS Cup, along with Lorenowitz, along with Nagby. Those guys have won at the highest level of the league. P.T. Martinez, who's won Copa League down in South America. You have that veteran experience of those that have been to these big games that have won at the highest level. So having him back as one of those players that was really as big, it makes it hopefully he's able to lift his play. Maybe, I wouldn't say pressure, but that weight that's been on his back for his entire career is lifted up. Yeah. And, him being an older player, obviously you're not looking for a breakout season, but at the same time, that difference of play that you'll probably notice this year should be evident.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So all starts tomorrow night in CCL action. Atlanta United faces Herediano 10 o'clock in Costa Rica. That's why it's at 10 o'clock, because it's in Costa Rica. They'll play the second. Yeah, they'll play the second. Yeah, they'll play the second leg next week, Thursday in Kennesaw, Fifth Third Bank, Kennesaw State University Stadium. So it'll be a fun time. Look, we'll dive into it in a few seconds. We'll go to break in a second. But that video that MLS put out, United We Conquered, is absolutely fantastic. One of the great pieces of video, of media content that I've seen MLS put out. And sure, there's a lot of bias there, but it's you got to really hold yourself back to not get at least a little emotional.
You look at
seeing the fans, seeing the players, seeing the reactions, seeing the emotions, all that tied with the music. I think it was the whole thing was fantastic. The other thing I want to add, it's awesome seeing the way that this Atlanta United community has kind of grown up together from 2014 when the team was announced, and kind of seeing the progression. And I mentioned starting in 2014 because I feel like the fan base all started there, and we've all kind of grown together, and we all know each other for the most part. I think there's so many recognizable faces in that video.
Exactly.
There's so many recognizable faces that you see just, at different events. I don't think anyone can go to an Atlanta United event and not have someone to talk to. Sure. Because of the people they know, because of the people they've grown up, loving this team with. That's what I love most about this team. It's not a team that you move to the area and you're trying to make it's everyone's been there together.
Even ones you don't know very well, even people that know who they are, but you don't know their names, you don't know their backgrounds. But that's for me too, just watching that video saying, I know that guy, I know who that is. Here's another guy that I've spoken to several times at tailgates. Yeah. But that camaraderie, that close-knit community of Atlanta United supporters that you don't see not just with other teams, but in other sports is really what I think sets Atlanta United apart.
Yeah, that shot with the flashlights, the fireflies, that got me going.
Incredible.
All right, we will come back, and when we return, we'll talk about Herediano. We will break down that matchup. We'll talk about the details to the keys to Atlanta United winning that match. We'll do that next. You're listening to the MOTS South Radio Show on Atlanta Sports X, 1230 AM, 106.3 FM, and always streaming on the Atlanta Sports X app.
We are Atlanta's alternative sports
YouTube.
Hey, YouTube.
Got your daddy sports talk. Kick off the day at 6 a.m. with Golick and Wingo.
The wrong line.
So for whatever reason, we couldn't get this thing started right at 7 o'clock because YouTube is the worst. Yeah, for reasons. You got any thoughts on Herediano and what's coming up tomorrow? Hit us up with some questions. We will address it in the next segment. We probably won't mention specifically that we're pulling it from the stream, but know that we are referring to your question when we talk about it. Hopefully we get a lot of interaction. That way it makes our job a little bit easier. And we might make this a regular thing. So if you miss us on Wednesday or whenever we do the podcast version of this, we might start actually doing the radio version of this as well, because just more interaction. It's just something more to do, another way to interact with the fans. I think I saw a tweet out there today that there's something like 25 hours of content during a given week, which sounds amazing. I honestly think at some point we all need to band together as content creators and just build one network. And all paid. We all start divvying up. We all start going and making sales and getting advertisers and divvy up the money and make money that way. I would love to quit my job to just cover Atlanta United. I'll put it that way. I would love to do that.
So you don't really get this kind of content with other teams. I think LA United fans just become so blessed to have so many options. I mean, we have those little bits in between podcasts, the hashtag podcast wars, all that, but it's all good fun. I mean, we're kind of gearing for the same thing as LA United fans, content creating. So Mounts of the South, all those other guys really in it together. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
So here's the deal, guys. The reason we're doing it today on YouTube, the radio show that is, so there's a sign, there's a whiteboard somewhere. We use the whiteboard for Talking Tactics with Josh Bagriansky. And on that whiteboard, it says most viewed video on Dickey Broadcasting. That's who owns 680 The Fan on their YouTube channel. And apparently it's something like 6,000. I think Atlanta United fans can break that number, right? We just gotta get the word out, right? So what I'm hoping happens is that you guys help get the word out, send it to your friends, post it on your Facebooks, send it out on Twitter, and see if, I know it's a long shot, but let's see if I can't write underneath Atlanta United or Mounts of the South podcast stream, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15,000 views. Apparently that video has been up for like 7 years, but the guy who's the main character in that video, it's a first pitch. It's a baseball referenced video, or it's a baseball video. of our program director throwing out the first pitch. I just want to be able to
So get on
not stick it to them, but just let them know, hey, Atlanta United fans are loud and proud, you know?
Yeah, so get that link out. Gary says share again on Facebook. Tell your friends, enemies.
Tell everyone.
Everybody.
Everyone.
Your dog.
Let's get it going. I'm serious. Share it on Facebook. Share it on your Twitter. Text it to your buddies. If you've got multiple devices, throw it up on multiple devices. You can mute the sound on all these other devices. Let's make it happen. Chris Lombardi, we'll definitely address your question. That'll be one of the first things we hit on. We're going to talk about the formational aspect of this stuff. We obviously know Atlanta is probably going to be a 3-4-3, but how does Herediano line up? How do they attack Atlanta United? How should they come out if you're Herediano? How should they come out against Atlanta United, knowing the talent they do have, knowing the quality that they are, regardless of it being their first match? Look, I'm going to say it on the radio show. This shouldn't be a game Atlanta United loses. I'm sorry.
Atlanta don't look like TFC last night.
Based off talent alone, Atlanta United shouldn't lose this match. That's my opinion. I'm not saying they couldn't lose this match, but they shouldn't lose this match. This is the match that I think should be. I'm not gonna say easy, because again, you are going to Costa Rica, you are going into a very CONCACAF environment, but Pity has played in that kind of environment. Obviously, Barco has faced that. Tito, Joseph, everyone. There's not one player on this team that hasn't been in this environment. All right, we're coming back.
It's the mouths of the South.
Someone else has a question, please. That is Chris.
Atlanta's alternative sports station.
Mouths of the South Radio Show on Atlanta Sports X, 1230 AM, 106.3 FM, always streaming worldwide on the Atlanta Sports X app. Eric Quintana, Sydney Hunt, contributing writer for Dirty South Soccer, your SB Nation station for all things Atlanta United. So make sure you're following Dirty South Soccer for the latest news and notes, everything going on tomorrow. I'm sure they'll have a
wall-to-wall coverage.
There you go, wall-to-wall coverage, a stream, or no, what's it called? I can't think of a live thread. Live thread. There you go. Live thread of the match.
Like
live thread. I was gonna say live stream, but that's not how it works in print. I guess
Costa Rica.
On blogs, yeah. So they'll have a live thread. You can converse with other Atlanta United fans. Hopefully, you join us now on the podcast. We do the podcast once a week. Typically, it comes out on Wednesdays. So we definitely do this radio show every week, Wednesdays at 7:00. So make sure you're involved. All right, Herediano. Let's talk about this matchup. A team that has not lost at home ever in CCL. It's a great run that I hope and think ends tomorrow night.
Yeah, we were talking off here. This is a match that Atlanta United should win. Doesn't mean they will. I think they will, but at least
it's a should win, but could lose.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be like TFC last night against Independiente de Panama. Just a disaster.
Yeah, 4-0 loss for Toronto FC. Yeah.
So
wasn't a great showing. And for Atlanta United, you want to make sure that first showing in CCL is a good one. I'm not saying that they need to go into Herediano and blow them out 6-0 or anything like that, but a 1-0 win is perfect. You just can't go. I don't think Atlanta United. I'll say it again. Atlanta United shouldn't lose this game. They could. There are ways that Herediano can play that can make it tough for Atlanta United. There's ways that they can really disrupt the timing, the flow, the chemistry, and just make it a terrible night for Atlanta United. But regardless of all that, just based on pure talent alone, in my opinion, they should go in and win this game.
That's that Herediano is going to come out like gangbusters.
Oh, yeah, for
especially
sure.
Against an MLS team that's really favored to win this match. Very few Atlanta United fans in the stands. Almost all Herediano fans, like you said, they haven't lost in CCL play at home. So that's really the perfect storm of factors that may be working against Atlanta United. But like you said, the depth top to bottom for Atlanta, especially with players like Barco, players like Peter Martinez, who has been in this position before in Copa League down in South America.
Yeah.
They're used to it. They're used to the big matches. And
I don't think there's a player on this Atlanta United squad that hasn't been in this kind of atmosphere at one point in their career.
whether it's at the club level or international level, right?
Either way, Barco has been there. Pity has been there, like you said. Tito has been there. Joseph has certainly been there, and maybe not so much in South America, but definitely in Europe. You look at guys like LGP certainly has been there. Franco Escobar, I know he's not playing, but he's been there. Miles Robinson would be the only one that I assume is starting, and we'll go over lineups in a little bit. Miles Robinson is the only one that I assume would be starting that maybe hasn't faced that kind of environment, and maybe that
was his career.
Yeah, maybe that is going to be new for him. And look, if there's a weakness for Atlanta United, and I'm not saying that Miles Robinson is a weakness, but if there's a weak point for Atlanta United, it's going to be the newest player, the youngest player, the player that's kind of thrusted into a position that maybe he didn't foresee himself being in to start the season. Sure, all these guys are gunning for playing time, but realistically, Miles Robinson thought I'm probably going to, before Franco Escobar injury, I'm probably going to the season coming off the bench, getting solid minutes, but still probably coming off the bench for the most part, so long as Franco Escobar, Parkey, and LGP aren't getting hurt. Well, Franco Escobar gets hurt, Miles Robinson steps up. He's prepared because he's had so much time to kind of not necessarily basically dwell on the fact that he's going to be starting this match, assuming he starts. I think we can all safely assume he's starting this match, right?
I think so.
Okay. The beautiful thing is for Miles Robinson, he'll probably play in the same position he's been playing in the preseason, which leads him to he's going to be it's less likely he's going to make a mistake as the middle center back in a line of three as opposed to being on the outside. I think one of the criticisms last year of Miles Robinson from Tata Martino was that just Miles Robinson isn't the greatest right now at this point in his career with his feet, especially playing around in the back. You put the ball at his feet, and he there were times where he did struggle. So putting him into the middle of a line of three lessens the chances that he'll. I'll say this: it makes his job a little easier because he won't be seen with the ball at his feet as often as an LGP or a Michael Parkhurst.
Older players who are more equipped to handle that type of pressure. But with Robertson, it's nothing but youth. It's nothing but inexperience. Really came along well toward the end of the season when given that responsibility by Tata Martino. Now, like we said, biggest game of his career. Love to see how he turns out. I think you nailed it. Putting him in that position to succeed, rather than throwing him to the wolves, giving him that baptism by fire can really help him. One of the sharpest confidence in CONCACAF Champions League game.
Yeah, and so you look at what Miles Robinson has done in the past, and you look at the times he has been thrusted into the starting 11 or has been used as a sub. He's performed well. He hasn't made any really memorable mistakes. So it's not like he's in foreign territory here. It's definitely not his first time. He would be more than right in saying, this isn't my first rodeo. He's been here before. It's a different environment. It's going to be a very CONCACAF environment for him, but he's the only player I'm sort of nervous about. And because of the talent and the experience around him, I'm less worried about him because he's going to be well prepared, well learned. He's going to understand what is to be expected of the environment going into Costa Rica.
All in all, he should be fine.
Yeah.
I think,
if you're unaware of how it works, so tonight, in all likelihood, Atlanta United is going to have some fire alarm pulled in their hotel. There may be some loud fireworks outside their hotel. There might be a parade at 4 a.m. There could be glass bottles thrown against the window, whatever. There's going to be some shenanigans in Costa Rica. I would say that in a non-violent and perfectly legal way, find a way to get back at them when they're in Atlanta. But I'm not saying, go start fires or anything like that, but in a perfectly legal way, maybe we find a way to disrupt their night a little bit.
I wonder where they're staying when they come out here next week.
Who knows? Someone will find out for sure.
Stick them up in Ackworth or something.
A quick breakdown of how both teams are probably going to line up. I've had the ability to watch at least Herediano's last match in their league play, and they came out in it was essentially a 4-4-2, but it's a 4-4-2 with a double 6. So essentially it's a 4-2-2-2. You got 4 in the back, the 4-man back line. You've got two central defensive midfielders. You've got 2 what amount to as wingers, essentially what I would consider to be the Brett Shea and the Gressel role. If you're new to watching Atlanta United, watching soccer, this is just how this is the best way I'm going to explain it to you. And then they got 2 up top, which is obviously different from what Atlanta United does, with Joseph being the lone striker oftentimes, even though Atlanta United is in all likelihood going to show up in a 3-4-3, which would look like there are three forwards, but in reality, they're going to be underneath. It's really going to look like a
3-4-3 in name only, pretty much.
Yeah, it's going to be like a 3-4-2-1. It's really what's going to look like, because there's going to be a lot of freedom between Barco and Pitty to come inside, to cut inside, to drop back, to come back to the ball, and it's going to be Joseph up top by himself. What will be interesting to see is how aggressive both Atlanta United and Herediano come out. Because if you're Herediano, you watch, because again, remember, this is a two-legged matchup, and away goals are a big factor. So if you're Herediano, all you're really trying to do is not let Atlanta United score. You can worry about scoring once you get to Mercedes, to Fifth Third Bank and Kennesaw, where they mean a little bit more. But if you can hold Atlanta United to 1 goal or no goals, you've done your job. That's a perfect scenario. Even if you lose the match, it's a perfect opportunity for you to go to Kennesaw and put 1 in, and all of a sudden you're looking at extra time. You find a way to get another one, and even if you score 2 and happen to tie the match in Kennesaw, that's a win for Herediano because of the way goal rules. I know it's weird for anyone that might be new to soccer, but that's the way it works worldwide. I don't hate it. I love it because of the drama it creates, because of the swings it can present. If on aggregate if you're up 1-0 at away and you come back home and all of a sudden it's 2-1 and you're losing, you got to score 2 goals to win the match, to win the series, to move on and advance. And I think that drama, that swing, whether for or against me, it's still so dramatic and so powerful that it makes any memorable moments that much more impactful.
I think equally important for Atlanta United is to really go for that away goal early, and then really, I guess, sit back, just absorb pressure.
Well,
pretty much dare Herediano to score, because even if they did still 1-1, you still have the away goal in your back pocket. Then you go home, man.
I believe, and we're streaming on YouTube right now, and this comes from one of the viewers on YouTube. How aggressive does Atlanta United come out? And I think that they should come out pretty aggressive. They should come out looking to score early, score first. Herediano is not a team that is really thriving in their domestic league. I think they're 9th right now, sitting on I think it's 3-3-3. 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses, and they're not playing well right now. They admit that they're not playing well. I read a bunch of articles where they're like, yeah, we're not doing well. It's a lot of self-inflicted mistakes. It's a lack of focus, general reasons why you'd be losing. And so 1 goal early, let's say it's a Joseph Martinez goal that he happens to take the ball off of one of the defenders on the back line, finds a way to goal. If you can get one early in the first 10, 15 minutes, you've essentially knocked Herediano out of that match. If you score 1 more, you're coming home and you're very comfortable in a home environment where, look, it's not Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but it's going to be just as loud. It's going to be just as dynamic. It's just going to be just as impactful, just as tough as an environment. It's going to be a tougher environment than what Atlanta United is going to face in Herediano.
Oh, for sure, because even with the smaller stadium up in Kennesaw, it'll feel like much bigger.
Yeah.
Because really the infrastructure that Atlanta United has, I would say, even the, I guess, bells and whistles that Kennesaw has that maybe Herediano don't have at their stadium. So it'll feel much bigger than it is, even though it's not the Benz. Ideally, you would want it at the Benz with, I'm not going to say 70,000, but 40, 50,000.
Yeah.
It's going to feel like that to Herediano, especially since, it's an MLS team, much larger budget, much larger resources. So still that big club feel that, which,
we break down a bunkering Herediano, who in their formation, the 4-4-2 can literally become trying to do the math, a 6-3-1 basically. Is that right? Does that work? Yeah, that works. Okay, 6-3-1, and all of a sudden you're playing. You're sending, because look, as much as Atlanta United loves possession, I think they're not going to be able to. I don't think they're going to. They struggle when it comes, or they struggle in the past when it comes to breaking down back lines that bunker, or defensive teams that bunker. So
think about Sporting Kansas City last year.
Yeah.
One example.
Minnesota last year.
At least you still nicked the goal,
yeah,
but at the same time.
But at the same time, you were
against the
look.
bunker,
I think that what you're going to see is a lot of circulation from Atlanta United, a lot of chemistry building from Atlanta United, at least early on. I think that Atlanta United should. I almost want Frank de Boer to tell the players, look, for those of you that were here last year, balls to the wall for the first 15 minutes. Play like you played last year. Play like you're pressing high. It'd be fun to watch. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's how I would approach this. I would approach it with that aggressiveness, to knowing that if anything happens, if you do happen to give up a goal, it's not the end of the world, because you leading with the draw, which is still, to me, it's going to be a loss, because again, they should win this game. Leaving with the draw is not the end of the world going back to Kennesaw State.
It's still in good shape.
Yeah, absolutely good shape. But I do want, and I do hope, and I do think there's going to be a level of aggressiveness from Atlanta United, from Pitti, from Barco, from Joseph especially. But I think that ultimately, once the game kind of settles in, Atlanta United's going to have to find a way to break down essentially 11 men in their defense, in Herediano's defensive third.
The big question with that too is, and you mentioned chemistry a little. How will that work out between PT and Joseph? I mean, Joseph said it during the kit reveal. He and Miguel weren't just teammates; they're brothers.
Mm-hmm.
They had that chemistry. They had that connection on the field. How will that carry over with PT on the field? It'll take a while, I think.
I hope that Barco rooming with Joseph has done wonders for him. I hope it's one of those transformative moments in his career. We all saw last year where we had romantic overtures and Barco Gate and everything else that we had. You still saw a player that wanted to be on the field. You still saw a player that noticeably was missing, and you felt the frustration. When he did get on the field, he played all out. And that's why I want to see, even in preseason this year, he played like a kid that had something to prove, that knew he had something to prove, that knew that he had to kind of make up for what was a relatively bad 2018 season. Rightfully so, because, I mean, we can all admit that he did not at all meet expectations, live up to expectations. So going into this year, I think that's going to help him rooming with Joseph and getting the right mindset going into the season. I think it's going to be big. And if we don't see a change in Barco, then I'm going to be worried for not only his future, but for Atlanta United's ability to eventually sell him on, because that's the plan. You didn't buy him for $15 million in hopes that, you bought him for $15 million in hopes that you can sell him off for a higher transfer fee. There's no mindset, there's no plan in place to where he's here long term and not making you that money back.
At the end of the day, is a black mark of the front office. I mean, for the hits they've made, I think we mentioned it last week. Yeah. This would be a significant miss because they didn't pay him $15 million, or they didn't pay $15 million for him to be playing the way he was last year.
Yeah, they paid $15 million for him to be scoring goals, assisting, all that stuff.
So I think, if he gets off to a slow start in this match, we shouldn't be that worried. But if it carries on to later matches, then
I won't judge him based off this match alone. But I do want to see some kind of sign of progress. I do want to see. I think the way that Almirón played, it was very much kind of gun and run. It was get the ball, turn it at midfield, and just run as fast as you can past defenders. And he did a really good job at that. I think that Joseph Martinez, because of his aerial ability, because of how good he's gotten at timing. I think that's going to be one thing that we might see that they struggle with tomorrow, is especially early on, is maybe the timing between runs and passes and such. But I think that the way that Pitti can pass, the way that Barco can ultimately pass and play the ball, I think it's going to benefit Joseph. I think he could stand to have a better year this year than he did last year. And there has been no one that had as good of a year as Joseph Martinez did last year. It's a huge ask, but it's absolutely possible given the talent you have around this team, given the continuity you have. Look, Gressel's still in the game. I think you have a better left back in Breck Shea than you had in Garza, in terms of his dynamic ability.
Certainly less injury prone, right?
Certainly less injury prone. I do think that George Bello eventually makes it into the match, but speaking in the short term and in reference to CONCACAF Champions League, Breck Shea is going to be the guy. You at some point will get Nagy back into the mix. Remedi and Lorenowitz, that's continuity from last year. A lot of this is just the only real difference, obviously, it's a big difference, but is Pitty's introduction into the starting 11 and how that kind of affects things. But I think that ultimately does more for Atlanta United going into this year. It makes them less predictable. It makes them more dynamic in the sense that they can do the things that Almiron did, but they also can do more. Pitty's a more complete player than I think Almiron is. Not to say Almiron's bad, but there were limits to Almiron's game. There were limits to what he could do. There were points where he could struggle. And look, we might see the same aspects for Pitty. We just haven't seen that yet.
How does he look? How does Pitty look? His first competitive match. I mean, he looked great in the preseason from what we saw of him. But again, this is the first match he'll be playing for this club that counts. It's the first match that he'll be playing that counts in this new system of Frank de Boer, whatever he tries out there tomorrow. So just him getting used to that is another thing that we have to look at.
All right, we'll go to break. We'll come back. We'll talk about lineups. We'll talk about what we expect to see in the starting 11, who we expect to see in the starting 11. We'll give our predictions, and we'll do all that next. You're listening to the MOTS Radio Show on the SportsX, 1230 AM, 106.3 FM, and always streaming on the Atlanta SportsX app.
Dean Hamilton, weekdays from 9 a.m.
Got your question in, Chris? I think I'll talk about the next one in the next segment.
Players make fun of other players who act like they're hurt. That's why he doesn't want to say I'm hurt.
So ready for the season.
That's why. No, you're the problem. You, Mr. Hamilton, are the problem, not Todd Gurley. I would not laugh at Todd Gurley. You just did. I wouldn't laugh at him if he said he's injured. He's cut from a different cloth. Oh, no. I think he is cut from a different cloth. You're right. Politician.
This is Atlanta's alternative sports station.
Hey, guys, I want you to know my Waffle House application was denied.
Available for only a short time.
I will not be working at Waffle House or for Waffle House.
5-minute final segment, all right?
It was a digital marketing position
Buckhead's highly sought after estate neighborhoods.
that I did not. I applied for it like maybe 6 months ago, and I just now got informed. I'm a little concerned that I can imagine someone that needed the job and they're just now finding out that no, you didn't get the job. Oh, thanks, man. I'm good. I got a job 3 months ago.
Not good enough for Waffle House. I mean, Waffle House. Didn't think you were good enough for them.
Yeah.
Courtesy of the Coca-Cola Foundation. Explore new exhibits, including Breaking Barriers, Sports for Change. Learn how sports figures have used these platforms to raise awareness of social issues.
What are you guys most excited to see tomorrow? First of all, are you guys going to? Where should I go watch it? I kind of need a place to go watch it, don't I?
Sure.
I don't really want to watch it at home. I want to enjoy it with the fans. I'm gonna do a lot more out and about.
Men on the street.
Yeah. I think last year I was just so busy that I just kind of focused on getting to the matches, sitting in the press box, and then doing my work, and then obviously enjoying it. But I didn't get to really interact as much with the fan base, and I think that's going to be something that changes this year. So
I wonder if Hudson FC is showing me.
I'm sure they are. I'll go there. I think I'm sure that Jay and Kelly will be there doing something. So I gotta give mad props to Jay, Kelly, and Jessica. It's kind of crazy how I was the one that brought Kelly on. I'm not tooting my own horn, but I was the one that brought Kelly on to this podcast. Jay and Kelly went on to do their own thing.
Doing well, by the way.
Yeah, doing absolutely wonderful. And then now I feel like I've helped the diversity of the media content, the content producing aspect of Atlanta United just a little bit. They're doing all the work, but I feel like I at least maybe opened the door a little bit for Kelly.
This is James Laura, managing partner of
So that's the first kind of a little.
No. They earned it. They earned everything. They earned everything they get for themselves. I don't want any of it. I just if anything, I just open the door. They've run with everything. And based off how many people are interacting with them on a regular basis, I couldn't be happier for him. I'm impressed by what Jay's been able to do video-wise. That's
much better than I.
I'm sitting here trying to edit video with Josh, and he's found a way to. I even took video editing courses in college, and I have no idea how he's doing some of the things. And no, mad props to him because
I got some lessons from him.
He's doing awesome.
So we forgot to mention Cesar Arturo Ramos is the referee tomorrow. He was the same referee that did the qualifier in 2016.
All right.
He was Costa Rica. Yeah, he was Costa Rica. 4-0 loss. Of course, 5 days later, Jurgen Klinsmann got fired.
He's a smart guy. You know he knows
Don't know if that's a sign.
All right, we'll do AMA, Ask Me Anything, here in the last segment, because I've never done that before, and I kind of want to. So, hold on. Can you find some kind of like a fun Ask Me Anything type of music?
He's the guy you call.
What's that song that...
Yankees.
Ray Judy.
Oh, is that it?
404.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Chris?
4185.
Are you listening, Chris? Chris? He can't hear me. Ask me anything. Ask us anything. On YouTube, we'll answer anything and everything. And United related, please.
Within reason.
Yeah, within reason. We got about 5 minutes in this final segment. We'll hit on some final notes against Herediano. Well, mentioning Herediano, and then we'll jump right into the AMA.
That's what we're pulling for tonight. So
That's it?
we
That's
talked
my
about
monthly
that.
payment?
Oh, wait, there's more. When you buy a Subaru, you're getting KBB's 2018 most trusted brand.
Look, I would.
And a 2019 IIHS.
Let's see. I'm still amazed that Toronto FC
That
lost.
was
That-
horrible.
I mean, look, not that they lost, but they lost the
How
way
they
they
lost.
lost. Yeah.
How they lost. The mom was terrible.
That's one of the.
That-
I've never
what
seen.
they did
I've
was-
never seen an ankle break like that.
They're just in shambles.
That was absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah.
I think Monterrey will lose to. Oh, well, sorry, we'll win tonight. Santos Laguna, I'm sure we'll win tonight, and let's see what happens with the Red Bulls. Miles of South Radio Show on the Sports X, 12:30 a.m., 106.3 FM, streaming worldwide on the Atlanta Sports X app. Eric Quintana is me. Sydney Hunt is him. Contributing writer for Dirty South Soccer, your SB Nation station for all things Atlanta United related. Get all your news and notes from the week regarding Atlanta United from Dirty South Soccer. If you're looking anywhere else,
24/7.
you're looking in the wrong places. We're going to do it like an AMA, not only an AMA sort of thing in the last 5 minutes with the YouTube stream that we got going on. But first we want to talk about Herediano. I think we can all kind of assume what the starting 11 tomorrow is going to be. If there's any surprises, it will be just that, a big surprise. I think we can all safely assume, and you shout out if you think otherwise.
No, I agree.
But I think we can obviously assume that the back line is going to be LGP, Miles Robinson, and Michael Parkhurst. Obviously in goal, Guzan. The four in the middle, from left to right, I assume will be Breck Shea, just because of the way he's been used in preseason, how often he's been used, and the fact that he's been used basically with just the first team. Rometty and Lorenowitz in the middle, and then you'll have Julian Gressel out on the right side, and then obviously up top you have Barco Joseph and Pity Martinez. I'm not even going to try to guess what Herediano is going to do. I just know that in all likelihood they're going to match up in a 4-2-2-2.
I even know half the team for Herediano. So
4-4-2, 4-2-2-2.
6-2-1.
It's 4-4-2 technically with double sixes, so that's a thing. Yeah,
Sure.
Sort of what it's similar to what Atlanta United did last year when they ran a four-man back line,
Right.
but still different. All right, so let's take some of these questions. Someone asking who do we see losing, or who do we see coming victorious in tonight's CCL action? We got Atletico Pantoja against the New York Red Bulls. That's tonight at 8 o'clock, basically as soon as we get off the air. I'm going to give credit to the Red Bulls. I don't know anything about Pantoja, but let's hope the Red Bulls have figured out for the 2019 season, and hopefully we're watching at least another MLS team. Not that I want to root for the Red Bulls,
Yeah,
but
it's first time, by the way, I think, in the CCL.
so then they're bound to do bad. Santos Laguna versus Marathon. I got to give it to Santos Laguna. I'm not going to do a score prediction because, again, we saw 4-0 against Toronto, so I don't know what could happen. And then Monterrey versus Alianza. I'm going to give it to Monterrey because Monterrey is one of the better teams in Liga MX.
Really a favorite.
Again,
team.
I'm not an avid fan or avid watcher of Liga MX and most of these Central American soccer teams, so just going based off mostly history and what the general knowledge, the common knowledge of the teams generally are.
And then tomorrow, Sporting Kansas City hosting Toluca. We're at Children's Mercy Park. The only MLS team to host this first leg. So,
Chris Lombardi, think Houston has a chance. In CCL, I think they do. You saw an amazing goal from DeMarcus Beasley, who I thought had retired and apparently hadn't. It's funny to think that Zlatan is a year older than him, and yet we still call DeMarcus Beasley the old guy.
I think it's because Zlatan just entered the league last year, so I think that's kind of why we feel like he's younger than DeMarcus Beasley. But yeah, a year older than Beasley. Beasley, just like we all predicted, right? Scoring the goal for Houston. Nobody.
Yeah. Jay Blake on the stream. How many goals from Joseph this season? And I think because of the addition, the talent that's been added to Atlanta United, I think we're looking at a more shared ratio of goals. I think you'll see Joseph score less, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's doing less work. I think he's just going to be opening up more space. I think there's going to be more opportunities for a guy like Biddy, for a guy like Barco, for guys like Dressel.
25.
I would say, I'm going to say north of 25. I'm going to say north of 25. All right, that wraps it up for us. You can find me at Eric G. Quintana. City, tell me where they can find you.
I'm at SH Writes, SHWRITES.
Follow the podcast at MOTS Podcast. Thank you for those watching on YouTube. And that wraps it up for us. We'll see you next week, Atlanta.
Good. Thank you, YouTube, for watching.
Sorry, I wanted to get to more. I don't know if I missed any. Nagby going in the summer transfer window. I seriously doubt it. The Man U reports for Miggy, I thought that was hilarious. Look, Roberto Rojas, he's got some insight, but I think that he's kind of spinning the insight that he does have a little too much. He's selling it a lot more than I think than anyone else normally would. Look, Tottenham was interested. Arsenal was interested. Man U, I'm sure, is interested. But are they willing to pay the $30 million transfer fee? Are they willing to?
Doesn't really say a lot.
Yeah, are they willing to pay Miggy a salary every week? Like, are they willing to do these things? Sure, you may be interested. I'm interested in so many things. Doesn't mean I'm going to go do it. I'm interested in dirt biking. I don't know when that's going to happen. Same thing with Man U. Interested doesn't really mean anything. If you want to put a solid offer on the table, what was the terminology? What was the phrasing you put?
Can't remember.
Like it wasn't that just interest. It was someone tell me, because I'm just sitting there thinking you're selling this a little too much. Apparently he's like friends with Miggy, which is fine. I'm not saying, look, if you got the connections, use them. But at the same time, I'm like, eyeing interest. It's not really a bombshell because there were a bunch of Premier League teams, and I'm sure there were teams all over Europe that were eyeing Miggy as he was signing with Newcastle. I don't. That's not a surprise.
It's funny.
I just don't think that they were willing to pay as much as Newcastle eventually were.
This is not to dump on Roberto, but it's funny around the transfer window how many people have inside information that other people don't have. Again, Roberto, not to dump on him.
Like I'm not saying he's not wrong.
Sure.
I'm saying I'm sure he was told, yeah, Man U was at least interested in maybe having a conversation or whatever. But that doesn't mean they were gonna get anywhere near a number that Atlanta United was gonna like. That doesn't mean they were gonna get anywhere near a number that Miggy was gonna like. Yeah, Miggy had interest across Europe. That's different than, willing to put money down and have a go at it with them. That's. I mean, right? Am I wrong there?
No.
Am I wrong?
You're right.
It wasn't pursuing. It was. Let me find it. It was interesting the way it was phrased.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've seen it, but
the phrasing was.
Discolored walls. These are
Crap,
some
where
warning
is it?
signs of water issues in your home. Even more importantly, water issues can lead to potentially serious.
On top of the Manchester United. Hold on. Bombshell dropped by Daniel Campo. This is Miggy's agent who stated his client had the eye of interest from Manchester United before signing for Newcastle. Tell me what the eye of interest means. Because I'm interested. If I'm Atlanta United, I mentioned a lot of players. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to go after these players. Newcastle had decided this is a player we want. That's what I want to. That's what I want to see. I want to see.
They're willing to pay money for it.
Yeah, I want to see. Miggy at the top of the list. I don't want to see interest. I want to see he's at the top of this list, like he was for Newcastle. That's something I'd throw out. Eyeing interest, yeah. There's a ton of teams that eyed interest in Miggy, or that had the eye of interest.
Yeah, it's Campos. I mean, it's his agent. I mean, he's got
He's also selling the whole aspect of him being.
He's making money.
Yeah. So. All right. Anything else?
This is the most incredible Subaru selection I've
Cool.
ever seen.
Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. We might start doing this every week, so spread the word. Until next time. See you later.
Go later.